What did you think when you first saw the George Floyd video?
I couldn't breathe.
It was a sentiment shared in much of America and many corners of the world, a metaphor for misery embedded in the soul of a nation.
It was symbolic to how we come up as black men and women in this community, in this society, that somebody's on our neck.
Damon Durden is a native of Newark, New Jersey, a city like the man with a troubled past.
Tell me about the Newark Police Department, who they were when you were a kid in Newark, and who do you think they are now?
When I seen the police, I would run. And I was a child. I didn't even do nothing. I just got out because I looked at them as an occupying force.
Even today, reimagining policing in America remains more abstract than absolute. Yet in this American city, a new portrait of progress is well on its way. In 2016, the government implemented a consent decree to finally force change in Newark. It's a legal agreement that gives the Department of Justice oversight and allows it to mandate changes within a police department.
When I first started, it was commonplace to have at least 20, if not more than 20 police shootings in a year. And a few times I remember we had more than one police officer shoot at someone in a day, in a 24-hour period.
In the 5 years since the consent decree, the results, at least for now, are staggering. Crime has steadily been going down. Listen to this one statistic. In all of 2020, not one Newark police officer fired a single shot. Not one.
How is that possible in a large city in America?
I think that's just one example of the results of all the work that's been going on in the city of Newark over the last at least 5 years.
Public Safety Director Brian O'Hara has been on the force for 2 decades.
Basically, anything you can think of as being wrong in policing in the U.S., they said was happening here in Newark, from bias in stops, searches, and arrests, excessive force, theft.
It is a handbook on how not to police.
The consent decree compelled the city to make changes. They created and rewrote policies, hired more social workers, and greatly increased the diversity of its force. One of the police initiatives is building trust with the community long skeptical of its guardians in blue.
Come on over.
Detective Robert Moore is the face of the new Newark police force, a cop from the neighborhood.
I already know you know good suit.
Who looks like the majority of the people that he serves.
Hire cops from the city to police the city versus going outside the city.
And why is that important?
Because those police officers, first of all, they'll have a relationship already with the community to begin with, right? And like myself, I didn't like the way I was like, when the cops used to stop me when I was growing up. So I didn't want to be that cop. Sure. I wanted to be, somebody different.
Tension with law enforcement here runs deep. In 1967, Newark erupted in 4 days of riots after white police officers severely beat a black cab driver. Back then, only 10% of Newark's police force was black and Latino. Now, 80% of Newark's force is black and brown.
Come this way right here. Grab yourself a cup of hot soup. I made it myself.
How much is it, you think, is community engagement, and how much is just blind luck?
I think the events like this play a significant role. Your leadership plays a significant role as well.
This is enjoyable.
Because if you allow the police officers to go out there in the street and disrespect the community and there's no consequences, it'll continue. Somebody need to try the soup.
He says it goes both ways. When the community sees the police treating them with respect, they respond similarly.
It's admirable, but it's a show, I guess? I don't know, but we can get used to it. And we can get used to it, I like being treated, with kind and respect.
Community buy-in is necessary. Part of that falls on the Newark Community Street Team.
Quickly, y'all, we just want to discuss some of the things that we've been dealing with this week.
NCST trains and deploys outreach workers to mediate high-risk disputes, provide safe passage to and from schools, and provide community services and support.
What's your mission?
Well, our mission is really to bring healing to the community.
You're not doctors, are you?
We're street doctors. We're looking at violence through the public health lens and understanding that, the trauma that's been in our community for so many, years, that, help is much needed.
The Street Team initiative was proposed by Mayor Raz Baraka. Since its inception, violence has been cut nearly in half. The program recruits volunteers, including the formerly incarcerated, and those who've committed acts of violence. Damon Durden himself went to prison for 22 years for armed robbery and aggravated assault.
You know, we're from the community. We are really part of the demographic that we work with. Now, instead of the menaces in society, we're considering ourselves the mentors of society.
There's statistical evidence, at least, that Newark is ahead of the game. So what is it you all have figured out?
That the community needs to be involved, but police is not necessarily the fullness of public safety. The word public is there first, so the public has to be involved. Invest in the community, invest in people.
For him, reform is another word for redemption. If he can change, why not the Newark Police Department?
It's hard to actually forgive myself, but I believe that what I'm doing is giving back, and I just hope that the people that I harmed in the past will look at this and be able to receive this as my atonement for what I've done. The power of redemption is more powerful than a nuclear bomb.
It's Damon's credo to recruit those he sees potential in, like Brianna McCrae or Lady Bree.
I went down the wrong path sometimes. I lost my mom at an early age. I've been shot before. I'm a survivor. Yeah. I get emotional talking about this stuff. It's just crazy because I really lost a lot of my friends, like, and to see that I'm out here, like, making a difference and trying to make a difference. And we're trying, like, even if we can't save everybody, at least we can save one life. So.
One of the greatest tests of Newark's growing partnership between the police and the public came last summer.
Now, as a cop, when you first saw that video, how concerned were you that Newark might explode?
I was concerned about it because you see the news and you're afraid that that could happen here too.
Instead, another remarkable moment for Newark. No violence, no arrests.
There was a small little group. Some of the folks was trying to agitate the cops to react, and they got in their face and they called them all kind of names and they were heckling them. A lot of the community leaders spoke up and they told them, you're not doing this here. What's going on in the rest of America, it's not gonna happen today. It's no longer us against them, but it's us, it's our city.
This policing culture that's kind of like this warrior mentality, that it's like a military-based thing. That's obviously not how you produce public safety, right?
Does reform really work in the end, right? Because I've done enough stories in police departments that when a particular leadership team comes in, changes happen, they do really well, and then because those people do so well, they get promoted, they go someplace else, and then the culture overtakes whatever progress that's been made.
Yeah, it's a serious concern. I think it's totally possible that if there isn't strong leadership, some mechanism to ensure oversight and accountability in the process, it's kind of like almost like regression to the mean.
To prevent a backslide when administrations change, the city empowered its citizens to not only speak up about police misconduct, but to have oversight as well. The City Council unanimously approving the creation of a Civilian Complaint Review Board, or CCRB, an independent department within city government, led by Rick Robinson.
What is it that a civilian complaint board can do that the police can't do?
Well, the police already demonstrated that they can't actually police themselves. All right. What happens when you have a rogue officer? You gonna go and give them soup? If we had effective CCRBs, you can avoid the George Floyd situation.
Derek Chauvin would have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah.
The board, or CCRB, is still in its infancy, building the infrastructure to investigate complaints. Last summer, the New Jersey Supreme Court limited the board's power, a significant blow.
In August, the New Jersey State Supreme Court ruled that the commission should not have subpoena power. Your heavy sigh suggests that you don't like that. Forgive me, it pisses you off.
In actuality, I think they failed us. We need to have subpoena power, and we need to have investigative powers.
Because at this point, all you could do potentially is you could politely ask someone to come and testify, but you can't force them to come.
Yes, we can't force them, but we can ask. We're still a force to be reckoned with in terms of delivering that fairness, delivering a measure of accountability. But if you're going to be an effective CCRB, You have to have those tools.
The board has asked the U.S. Supreme Court to take up its fight for those tools. It's working on legislation that might grant them. But even without those powers in place, there will be work for the CCRB to do. On the first day of this year, the Newark Police Department broke its clean streak of no shots fired when an undercover 18-year veteran of the force shot and killed a black man who was not carrying a weapon. The incident is currently under investigation and sparked a new policy. Newark PD now requires most plainclothes officers to wear body cameras. Despite Newark's setback, Robinson thinks the impact of George Floyd's murder is bigger than any one police department.
A lot of people are very hopeful now after that Chauvin situation.
As you see it, Hope now has friends.
Has friends and is looking to do things.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.